Ladies and gentlemen, yet again, another time, another moment to be able to have real conversations, real growth, and real faith. Today, we're talking about attachment styles. And maybe one of the main questions will be, are you ready to have this conversation? Anywho, so today, before we actually get deep into this topic, I will just want us to be able to thank you for being part of us. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for just showing your love unto us, and that we are continually grateful. And yet again, I will also want to thank each and every one of you who decided to share this on any platform and being part of us. We are totally grateful for you guys. So, are you really ready to have this conversation? Talking about attachment styles. And maybe you might be able to ask yourself this question, but uelewi ni nini tunaongelelea leo? So today, I will want us to be able to understand that attachment styles are really a big part of our lives. I mean, we cannot be able to run away from them. And maybe a question that I can put out there is, have you ever met someone who really wants to be loved and yet they really run away? Or have you ever met someone who thinks every notification, overthinks every silence, and is unable to even hold a conversation without just being fearful? And so many times this is drawn from our childhood experiences. And today we're talking about those attachment styles. And these attachment styles, they are able to help us understand how we used to receive love and how we are giving it now. And these attachment styles are not the exact blueprint that you need to be following now. It doesn't mean that you cannot be able to change from one attachment style to another. No, it doesn't mean like that. But this attachment style, you can be able to change with time. Of which, if you are one of the best attachment styles, then you don't need to change. But how wengine, itabidi mmechange. So what is an attachment? Attachment is the emotional blueprint formed in childhood that shapes. It shapes how we handle closeness, how we handle conflict, and how we respond to silence. Oh, and not forgetting how safe we feel in love. And maybe we can be able to say that attachment is not about how much you love, it's about how safe you feel loving. So when you're talking about attachment styles, we should be able to see how do you feel when someone comes so close to you. In case of a conflict, are you able to maintain a very healthy conversation with that person, or eventually mtashinda mmekosana? Or mse akikunyamazia, how will you be able to respond to that, or you'll just react? Of which, some of these things, mukiangalia life yako, there's just some negative and positive side to it. You have been able to react wrongly to a closeness. Someone was wanting to be close to you. Eventually, they're now close. Now you're running away. And you're like, oh my God. And though I like this person, but you're still running away. Maybe when friends want to reach out and share stuff with you, want to buy you stuff, but you've never seen this kind of love, so you don't feel safe in it. So you end up running away. So that is what we call attachment styles. So how you respond, how you react, how you handle conflict and closeness, how you respond to silence, that is attachment. Remember, it's just a blueprint, and blueprints can always change. Okay? So we have different attachment styles, and I will want us to be able to break them down. There are 4. We have the secure attachment. This is the attachment whereby you're okay with the someone else, or with your partner, or with your friend. You're here, and maybe the possible line you will be able to say to yourself is, I am okay, you're okay. And that's okay with you. And for the secure attachment guys, they're able to communicate clearly. They don't panic during silence. They can apologize, and they feel safe depending on others. So when I look at this, I ask myself, am I anywhere here? Do I communicate clearly? Do I panic during silence? Can I apologize? Do I feel safe depending on others? So for the secure attachment, it's so easy for them to do all this. When someone has crossed their boundaries, it's so easy for them to be able to communicate clearly and tell them, you know what? By the way, ulinikosea, and that was not so good. I felt bad, and that's why I'm communicating. That is a secure attachment person. And then when someone is silent on them, it is easy for them to just let it go. It is not their fault. They are fine with whatever is happening. Sometimes it's going to hurt, yes, but they do not tie their worth to the fact that someone else is silent. The other one is they can apologize. When they are wrong, they can apologize. There's a way I tend to imagine, I don't know kama ni according to my own attachment style, but mi mtu akiniambia ati my sincere apologies, I don't feel like it's really sincere, the fact that you can actually mention that my sincere apologies. But I think for a secure attachment person, akiambiwa sincere apologies, atakubali. For me, if you're really apologizing, you tell me, I am sorry. But anyway, we are learning, aren't we? For the secure attachment person, they're able to feel safe depending on others. For the secure attachment person, they're able to feel safe depending on others. For any other attachment style, sometimes it can be really hard for them to be able to depend on others unless they're depending on themselves. So for the secure attachment, is they're like, I am okay, you're okay, so I can depend on you to show up when I need you. But if they're not okay with depending on someone, then that means you belong to a different attachment style. Okay, let us talk about the other attachment style, and that is the anxious attachment. And maybe our line that can be able to link us to this is, don't leave me, quote unquote. Because the anxious attachment are those people who constantly overthink every text, they need reassurance, they fear being replaced, and most of all, they feel emotional highs and lows quickly. That means they have an emotional roller coaster. Yes, indeed. And for the anxious attachment, just remember they are tied to those people who have constantly been abandoned. So they will have the fear of abandonment. And this fear of abandonment, for instance, maybe mzae alienda kuna maziwa akakosa kurudi, that eventually, man, unaanza kujiuliza nilidu nini ndo mzae akose kurudi. So in all your life, you'll be able to just find ways so that you can be able to hold on to people to ensure that they don't leave you, because in the past, you lost so many people and it is not because of you. Yes, but eventually you were able to earn that attachment style. But do you know what? All that happened and it is fine. And that is why you need to be able to stop overthinking every text, every notification, every butterfly that you feel in your belly. Every single time someone texts you, you think that they're going to give up on you or leave you alone. You need to stop all those. But don't worry, it is a process and we will continuously go on with it together. And maybe a question that you can be able to ask yourself is, do you fall in love with potential or stability? I think there's a penaka example kangu kadogo. Kwa hii mimi for the longest nimekuwa anxious attachment, but sahi tuna improve, tunaenda tukiwa secure. So for the longest, mimi kama nataka msee naonanga kwanza potential instead of stability. I'm like, the anxious attachment people, normally we fall in love with the fantasy instead of the reality, because it becomes easier to just create a story in our heads that you're going to stay with me forever, rather than waiting for you to be able to come and tell me that you're going to stay with me and then things happen. So we don't want to come to the place when you're that one day you're going to replace me. One day you're going to leave me as a friend or as a partner or as a lover or as a parent. So what do? Mimi, I will put you close. And then you will be able to just see me as a very clingy soul. You think that I'm constantly following you. But no, I'm just in love with the fantasy that is in my head. See, because you are any good. Of course, I choose well. But most times in a Kwangani Jueti, I don't want you to leave. I've already seen what you can do, how far things can go, how great we're going to be, how great friendships you're going to have, how amazing kids you're going to bear, and sort not. So that is an anxious attachment. Maybe I can also help you ask another question is, do you confuse anxiety for passion? And as an anxious attachment previously on Valentine's Life, I can say yes. That confusion, that anxiety, zote, zinakwanga una feeling ni kama ni passion. Okay, the mystery that someone is there and not there, that you confuse it to passion. that anxiety, mse amekutext, tumbo imejaa butterflies, unasema, oof, I love this person, kumbe ni anxiety, man. Roho yako inadunda, unadhani ni juu unampenda, inakuanga tu ni anxiety, my friend. But anyway, remember, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to be able to heal. Let us go to the next attachment style, and that is the avoidant attachment style. The main line that can be able to tie this attachment style is, I don't need anyone. And these people, they value independence heavily. They shut down during conflict. They feel overwhelmed by emotional intensity, and they struggle with vulnerability. And maybe I can be able to point out some of these things. And these avoidant people, they feel like they can be able to do anything by themselves. And remember, they're called avoidant, so they don't value closeness, okay? They don't value closeness, and they will avoid conflict, okay? Not just avoid, they will just shut down during a conflict. And later on, they will feel overwhelmed by emotional intensity, and then they struggle with vulnerability. This is just so chaotic, because tell me why you value independence, at the same time you shut down during a conflict, and then later on, in a burst down on you, you feel overwhelmed, and then you don't want to be vulnerable. Now that is an avoidant person. It's very chaotic within themselves because they can vary within the different stages of their life. For instance, if they're having a partner, the first few times they will be like, okay, I show you, for instance, maybe if it's a man, they will show you I'm really strong, I can do this by myself, I can stand here for you. But the moment there is a conflict, they shut down, they walk away, they are no longer there, you know? And then eventually, they now feel overwhelmed. And they're like, oh my God, all this is coming to me. But guess what? They're not going to be vulnerable. So that is the avoidant attachment style. So maybe a question I can be able to point out to you so that you can be able to diagnose yourself is, do you lose interest when someone gets too close? Do you lose interest when someone gets too close? And maybe this can be in the case where an avoidant is in contact with an anxious attachment style. Because this anxious attachment style wants to be too close, and the avoidant values self-independence or whatever, you know? Alafu, maybe the other question is your independence strength or protection? Maybe naweza wasaidia kujibu hizi maswali. So most times, the avoidant loses interest when someone gets too close. They're like, give me my space. I need my space. Why are you in my space? You know? So eventually when someone maybe asks them, by the mbona unapenda kukaa peke yako? Okay, and now it becomes a problem, they're going to shut down and they're going to walk away. They're going to be so silent on you. And the other one is your independence strength or protection? It is protection, because maybe all your life people have been avoiding you. Maybe you decided, you know what, this time I'm going to try to communicate my feelings. And then you tried and communicated your feelings, and then someone shut you down. And then you're like, ugh, kumbe there's no need. There's no need of me sharing my feelings. Acha ikae venye inakaa. And then you go. And then you ended up having your own independence. And you're like, you know what? I don't value vulnerability because I can be able to stand by myself. So yes, it's a protection. It's not a strength. Yeah. So please ask yourself these questions, because in this you'll be able to understand how you receive and give love. And then if it's a bad attachment style, I won't call it bad per se, but if it's an incorrect way of receiving love, then you need to be able to change it. Remember, it is not your fault that you are able to receive this attachment style, but it is your responsibility to heal. Let us go to the other one. We have the fearful avoidant. This is very chaotic more than the avoidant, okay? Because the main statement that can be able to stand this attachment style is, they're like, come close, but not too close. Come close, but not too close. For them, they crave intimacy, but at the same time, they push people away. They have trust issues and they experience emotional chaos. So they want people to be close to them. They want amazing friends. They want amazing partners. But they do not want them to be so close. So in one way, they really crave for intimacy. But in the other side, they really push people away. Hey, that is very chaotic. Thank God, Mimi, see who you. Anyway, I'm not pointing fingers to anyone. But remember, it is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. The other one is they have trust issues. Hi. It's hard for you to have a conversation with them without them putting themselves first so that you can be able to not hurt them. In short, they build up a defensive wall. Of course, other people also build defensive wall, but this one, they want you close, but once you're coming close, they build a defensive wall, and now you're like, oh my God, what am I supposed to be doing with this person? You want to be close to me, but you're building up a wall. So it's very confusing, okay? Ni wale ukijaribu kutoroka atakufuata. The other one is they experience emotional chaos. Now, this one is more than just a roller coaster, but they constantly have chaos within themselves. That means in one point, they want to be loved. In another point, they want to be, oh, please leave me alone. Just don't be close to me. Achana na mimi, and so not. Maybe you can be able to ask a question. So do you sabotage good love because chaos feels familiar? Do you sabotage good love because chaos feels familiar? And of course, you already know the answer. Yes, you do sabotage love because chaos feels very familiar. Juu ni kitu umezoea. Every single time something good is about to happen, something bad happens. Something good is about to happen, something bad happens. So wewe unajua tu, after every good thing, there's always a bad thing that's gonna come, Like umezoea tu pattern fulani. And remember, these attachment styles, they're just blueprints. And every building can be able to lose them, correct them, or even just write new ones. So each and every one of us has a new opportunity to be able to do what? Improve and get to a better attachment style. So I can be able to also point out something called the attachment dance. This attachment dance is when different attachment styles meet and they affect each other in various ways. So let us talk about the dynamics. So we have the anxious and avoidance. For instance, maybe they're in a partnership or a relationship. So one chases, one retreats. Anxious attachment person, huyu atachase. Avoidant anafanya nini? Ana retreat. So inakuwa tu ni kama mchezo wa paka na panya. Huyu panya anatoroka, paka anafanya nini? Anakimbiza. Hivyo, continuously. So the avoidant wants space. The anxious does not want space. They want to continuously feel wanted. And guess what they're going to feel like? So anxious, ata overthink every text every single time. The avoidant wants to just feel independent, okay? When the anxious attachment style wants assurance, this other one will shut down in conflict, okay? When this other one feels like, oh Lord, I'm gonna be replaced, this other one is like, you know what? I just need my space, just leave me alone, okay? When this one is having emotional highs and lows, this one is being overwhelmed with emotional intensity. Yake si chaotic, yake ni inamkujianga once, pa. So this becomes very chaotic for them to be together because the anxious needs reassurance while this other one just needs space. So in one or another, watakosana. Let us go to the other dynamic of two avoidance. Where two avoidance now, the fact that all of them, they're avoidance, that means their emotional distance is really big. Connection ni tricky. Everyone wants their own space and they think that this is it, But everyone shuts down during conflict. So hapa hivi communication inakuwa ngumu. Everyone is overwhelmed in emotional intensity. So hawa watu wawili kwa in the same circle or partnership or friendship or relationship inakuwa ngumu because emotional distance becomes really big. The other one is two anxious people. This one's the emotional intensity is very like it's an overload of emotions. Kila mtu akona chaotic side yake, akona highs and lows. The roller coaster is going this way, this other is going this way. So most times, everyone needs reassurance. They're not able to understand what attachment style they're holding. Everyone will be like, this one wants my time and affection and I'm giving it all. But at the same time, they need reassurance and I can't give reassurance because I don't have also reassurance, So eventually, inakuwa tu kazi mingi. Na huku nje watu wanaumia. Anyway, there's also another dynamic where we have the secure and the insecure. Remember, it's called the attachment dance. Remember, one way or another, they're gonna dance. So when a secure and an insecure person meet, it becomes an opportunity for healing. Because one has an issue. For instance, maybe ni avoidant, maybe ni fearful, maybe ni anxious, hizo vitu zote. Akimit na secure person, if the secure person really is secure, they will help the insecure person to be able to grow. And that becomes an opportunity for healing. So, most of us are not toxic, we're just triggered. That means that hizo attachment styles zako zote zenye uko nazo, the ones that you have experienced over the years, hizo vitu zote zinakuanga triggered with how someone gives you love. And it's not anyone's fault to be able to trigger you, no. Inakuanga, the mind is divided into two. We have the conscious and the subconscious. So the subconscious is like a semi-permeable membrane. So all your beliefs, all your fears, ziko hapo kwa your subconscious. So your subconscious, when information gets to your brain, it goes through the subconscious, which is a semi-permeable membrane, then comes to your conscious, and then that's when you're able to react or respond. So if you're triggered, remember all the information, all the love, all the care, all the gifts, everything that someone is trying to give you, anaileta, alafu anafanya nini? Anaipitishia through your subconscious mind, alafu inafika kwa conscious mind. So ikipita kwa your beliefs, ikipita kwa your fears. So if you have the fear of abandonment, if you feel like you need space, if you feel like you don't deserve to be gifted, if you feel like you need so much reassurance, yote, your subconscious ndo inabea your line. So every information, everything people do to you goes through that subconscious, and guess what? Eventually, you're triggered, okay? So remember, all these attachment styles are not because of you. They all come from the fact that you were once a child, and that means your childhood roots ndo ziliensure that unakaa venye unakaa sahi. So number one, you may be able to ask yourself these reflective questions so that you may be able to understand how you received love, how you reacted when you were angry, and so not. So maybe the question number one you should be able to ask yourself is, when you were upset as a child, who comforted you? Number two, was love really consistent or unpredictable? Last one is, were emotions welcomed or dismissed? Okay? So remember, whoever comforted you, whoever gave you love, whoever was there to dismiss or welcome your emotions are the reason why you are the way you are today. So remember, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal. That even as we finish, I want you to understand that attachment styles, they form way before logic. I understand that every single one of us is in a journey of growth, and you would want to improve your attachment style. I want you to understand that it came before logic, okay? That you have been doing the work, yes, but now you're being able to understand that there's a new work to be done. So remember, it was formed way before logic, okay? And your nervous system remembers what your mind forgot. So your mind might have forgotten how you were treated, how your emotions were dismissed or welcomed, all those things. But your body, your nervous system constantly forgets. There's a friend of mine who told me that every single day when you're awake, your body enjoys the fact that you have a nervous system. You see life from your nervous system. You just experience life from your nervous system, because the way you see people around you, how you are able to interact with people around you, it's all because you have a nervous system. So that nervous system also stores information, and that nervous system remembers far beyond what your mind can. Remember, when you want someone to be able to remember you, you tie it to emotions. So imagine all those days that you were hurt, all those days that you were in pain. Your mind might have forgotten, but your nervous system did not. So I want you to understand this, that all these attachment styles do not nullify the fact that you are of Christ. All these attachment styles do not nullify the fact that you need to understand that God does not show you love so that He can trigger you, no. But you should be able to understand that if your attachment style was shaped by imperfect love, imagine what secure attachment to God can do. Imagine. So, maybe the absence of your father maybe had caused you to embrace the attachment style of maybe avoidant or anxious or fearful avoidant, not secure, of course. Maybe you now are unable to see God as a father. So you should be able to heal so that you can be able to see God as a father. Alternatively, look to God and tell him, God, you know what? I don't see you as a father. Like for me, for the longest, I really struggled to relate to God as a father. Hata wakisema, let us pray our Father in heaven. For me, it was not so easy because nilikuwa nishazoea man. Mzae akuangi, hata akikuwa nisaidiangi sana, na hata akinisaidia nisaidiangi enough, So this one time, a lady came and she spoke of her father and how she also was in the same position. And I also want to bring this to your attention, that your heavenly father is not the same as your earthly father. And you should be able to understand that. So if you had built this attachment style on the basis of whatever your missing parent, or anyone did to you, just remember you should not reckon it to your Father in heaven. For him, he sticks closer than a brother, okay? And he is a consistent father. And I also want you to understand that God is forever emotionally available. If you feel like you're not able to do any of this alone, remember that God is always emotionally available, and God will never leave you nor forsake you, okay? He will never leave you nor forsake you. He's your father. He will never leave you nor forsake you. And he says that constantly. He says that you're the apple of his eye. He says that he loves you even from the beginning of time, way before the beginning of time, okay? So, anxious believers, they fear rejection. But do you know what? God brings you an understanding that he brought you from the kingdom of darkness and brought you to the kingdom of light. That shows acceptance. And let it be taken away by God. The other one is avoidant believers. They struggle with intimacy in prayer because you're like, oh God, I can't be vulnerable. So it becomes hard for you to be able to be vulnerable even with your Father in heaven. But you need to be able to understand that God is emotionally available. He does not judge you from how emotionally or physically broken you are, but he's always there to listen to you because he's your Father. He's your friend. Okay? And then we have the fearful believers who struggle with trusting grace. And understanding that grace is a part of us as believers. We should be able to understand that we need to approach the throne of grace with so much confidence. We don't approach the throne of grace with fear. We don't approach it with shame. No, we don't approach it from the basis of the scars that we bear. And understand that some of these attachment styles are just scars that we bear. And they are really sometimes triggered. Na zikikuwa triggered, they bleed. But now it's time for you to understand that if you're anxious and you fear rejection, God is there for you and he has accepted you into the kingdom of light. If you're avoidant and you struggle with vulnerability, remember that God needs you to be so vulnerable with him. And don't miss out the fact that you need to be very intimate with your Father in heaven. And if you're a fearful believer, remember to approach the throne of grace, not with shame, not with fear, with all confidence. So healing and attachment is not just psychological. It's spiritual restoration because now you're able to understand and reckon with your Father in ways that are far beyond what you have been experiencing. Because remember that these attachment styles, they tell us how we receive love. And for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So in your absence or in your weakness or in your ways of not being able to receive this kind of love, that means perishing might become easy for you. But now it's time. It's time for you to be able to understand that this is not just a healing for your own mind. It's not a psychological healing, no. It is a spiritual restoration because he needs you back, okay? So even as we finish, let me give you a parting shot. And this should be able to be brought into your own understanding that, number one, it is not your fault that you have all those attachments. It is not your fault that you have this attachment style, okay? It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to do what? To heal. And the other thing is that you should be able to understand that there are very many ways of moving towards being a secure attachment. That's my parting shot. There are so many ways to moving and healing toward a secure attachment. And number one, please learn to understand who you truly are without the shame. Let's be self-aware without the shame, okay? Number two, learning emotional regulation will help you understand when and how you need to respond, not react, okay? Number three, choose safe people around you. that will be able to help you connect with people in ways that you really need to, okay? The other thing is communicate directly and clearly, okay? You should be able to communicate directly and clearly. And then number 5, therapy and mentorship will play a big role in your healing. And number 6, building a secure attachment with God is better than building a secure attachment without God. So lastly, you don't heal by finding the perfect partner. You heal by becoming emotionally safe. Thank you so much. That was our time. This has been the Kambura Podcast. I've been your host, Valentine Kaita, and we are really happy that you are here to learn with us. Attachment styles, please go out and heal. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to do what? To heal. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.